Jung noticed something in his clinic practice. 80% of his patients were making the same mistake. They'd find a problem and try to solve it by making it bigger. They'd search for control and end up creating more chaos. So here's the question, are you part of that 80%? Or do you understand the paradoxical truth that Jung discovered that the moment you stop worrying, everything falls into place? The woman who controlled everything in 1935, a woman walked into Jung's office. She was 42 years old, and she tried to control every single moment of her life. She woke up at 6 a.m. sharp. Every minute of her day was meticulously planned. What she'd eat, what she'd wear, what she'd sit was all on a list. But here's the strange part. The more she planned, the worse her life got. Problems at work, broken relationships, her health declined. Jung asked her in their first session, "Why do you feel the need to control everything?" She answered, "Because if I don't control things, everything will go wrong." Jung was silent for a moment. Then he asked, "So far, have you controlled everything?" "Yes," she said, "I've controlled everything." "And has your life turned out the way you want?" Jung asked. The woman started crying. "No, nothing has turned out the way I wanted." And that's when Jung made his profound discovery. He told her, "Maybe the problem isn't that you lack control. Maybe the problem is control itself." These words shook her world, because for years, she'd been thinking the opposite. More control equals a better life. But Jung showed her something else. Control is an illusion, and the tighter you grip it, the more life slips through your fingers. The anxiety trap. So, here's my question for you. Have you fallen into the same trap? Are you constantly planning, controlling, calculating, and no matter how hard you work, you can't seem to get where you want to be? Here's what Jung discovered. Anxiety isn't actually a solution-seeking tool. Anxiety is a form of control, and control is the enemy of real solutions. Jung would say, people can't stop suffering because they think suffering itself gives them power. But how does this work? Why does anxiety make problems bigger? The answer is this. When you worry, your mind focuses on the future. It writes scenarios. What if this happens? What if that happens? And the more scenarios your brain produces, the more real they seem. Your body doesn't know the difference between a real threat and an imagined one. So it releases stress hormones. Your heart races. You can't catch your breath. You lose sleep. And worst of all, anxiety drains your attention. You can't focus on the present moment. You can't see real solutions because your mind is preoccupied with imaginary future problems. The 95% that never happened. Jung had a male patient, 36 years old, very successful in his career. But he had one problem. He worried constantly. Will I lose my job? Will I have enough money? Do people like me? Every day brought hundreds of questions, hundreds of anxieties. Jung gave him an exercise. He said, for 1 week, write down all your worries in a notebook. Next to each one, mark whether it actually came true. A week later, the man came back, shocked. 95% of his worries had never happened. They only existed in his mind. Jung smiled. Here's the thing, he said, you're spending real energy on imaginary problems, and that energy is preventing you from actually living your real life. But the man had one more question. If I don't worry, won't my problems go unsolved? Jung answered, worrying about a problem and solving a problem are two different things. Problem solving focuses on the present. Anxiety gets stuck in the future. Problem solving takes action. Anxiety just thinks about things. And that's where Jung's paradox of letting go comes in. The river, in the current. Jung discovered something profound. Life is like a river. If you swim against the current, you exhaust yourself and drown. But if you let the current carry you, the river takes you somewhere. But pay attention, letting go isn't the same as giving up. Letting go is intelligent action. Jung studied the Eastern concept of Wu Wei from Taoist philosophy. It means actionless, action doing without forcing, achieving without striving, leading without controlling. Jung had a female patient, 48 years old, who'd been searching for a happy relationship for years. But every relationship she tried fell apart. Why? Because she tried to control it. She wanted to plan every detail, how her partner should act, what they should say, where they should go. Everything had to match her mental script. Jung told her, you can't control love. Love is a flow. You can only participate in that flow. She didn't understand. So what should I do? She asked. Jung replied, do nothing. Just be. Be yourself and see what life brings you. She found it difficult. After all, control feels safe. Letting go feels like jumping into the unknown. But she gathered her courage and tried it. Something shifted. She stopped trying to force connections with every man she met. She stopped changing herself. She just showed up as herself. And 6 months later, she entered the healthiest relationship of her life. Why? Because she'd stopped trying to control it and simply let it flow. Jung would say, the tighter you grip, the faster it slips away. The more you let go, the more it comes to you. How letting go works. But how is this possible? Why do we get better results by letting go? The answer is this. Control is a product of your conscious mind. But life is so much bigger than your consciousness alone. Life includes your subconscious, other people's subconscious minds, and all the energy moving through the universe. And when you try to control everything, you're actually cutting off this greater flow. Jung spoke of the concept of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences. Sometimes things happen, and you say they can't be mere coincidence. Those moments show you that you're connected to something larger. Jung had a male patient, 52 years old, who was starting a business. But everything was going wrong. He couldn't find funding. He couldn't find a business partner. He couldn't find customers. And day and night he worked. He forced. He worried. Jung told him, maybe you're forcing the wrong path. Maybe the universe is trying to show you a different way. The man didn't understand. What do you mean? He asked. Jung answered, for 1 week, stop forcing. Just observe. See what life shows you. The man thought it was strange, but he tried it. That week, odd things started happening. An old friend called him. He happened to meet someone at a conference. He read a random book and got an idea. These 3 things came together, and a completely new business idea emerged. And it was much stronger than the idea he'd been forcing. Jung smiled. See, he said, when you stopped forcing, life showed you the way, because now you could listen. Jung would say, the universe is speaking, but you can't hear it when you're anxious. The 7 steps to letting go. Now, I'm going to give you the steps to apply Jung's paradox of letting go. These come from his clinical work and have helped hundreds of his patients. Step 1. Awareness. See what you're trying to control. Ask yourself every day, what did I force today? What did I grip too tightly? This question alone will relax you. Step 2. Acceptance. Accept the things you can't control. Jung would say, acceptance is the beginning of change. The moment you accept something, you break its power over you. Step 3. Focus on the present. The past is gone. The future hasn't come yet. Only now exists. And when you focus on the present, anxiety decreases because anxiety lives in the future. Step 4. Move to action. But without force. Understand the difference between solving a problem and worrying about it. If there's a problem, solve it. If you can't solve it, let it go. Forcing exhausts you but doesn't solve anything. Step 5. Develop trust. Trust life. Trust the universe. Trust yourself. This trust is your greatest power because when you trust, you can let go of control. Step 6. Participate in the flow. Observe what life brings you. Are doors opening? Are coincidences happening? Are people appearing in your path? These are signs of the flow. And when you follow these signs, life takes you to the right place. Step 7. Release your attachment to the outcome. Yes, have goals, but don't get attached to specific results because sometimes life brings you something even better than what you imagined. When plans fail, life succeeds. Jung had a female patient, 39 years old, who'd been unhappy for years. She'd planned everything out, her career, her marriage, her children, her house, but none of it had happened, and she felt like a failure. Jung asked her, why are you so unhappy? She answered, because my life didn't turn out the way I planned. Jung smiled. Maybe, he said, life has an even better plan for you, but you're holding onto your plan so tightly that you can't see the plan life has for you. This struck her deep, and she slowly started letting go. She released her old plans, released her expectations, and just started living in the moment. 6 months later, her life had completely changed. She found a new job, she met new people, she discovered a new passion, and she realized something. If her old plan had worked out, she wouldn't be nearly as happy as she is now. Life's plan was so much better than her plan. Jung would say, life knows you better than you know yourself. And when you trust it, it takes you to the right place. But pay attention. Letting go isn't the same as being passive. Letting go is intelligent action. You still take action, but you don't force it. You still make plans, but you're not obsessed with them. You still want things, but you're not attached to specific outcomes. That's Jung would say, the goal isn't to do nothing. The goal is to do the right thing at the right time. And the way to do this is to participate in the flow. The shadow inferno. Let me tell you something else. And this might be the most important part. Jung discovered that anxiety is actually a mask. When you're anxious, you're actually masking a deeper fear. The real fear is this: you can't control anything. You're not safe. You're not enough. And that's where real transformation begins. When you face this fear, when you tell yourself, yes, I can't control things. Yes, everything is uncertain. Yes, sometimes I'm powerless, but that's not the problem. Because I'm still here. I'm alive. I'm breathing, and that's enough. Jung would say, life's purpose isn't to be perfect. Life's purpose is to be whole. And with all your weaknesses, all your uncertainties, all your fears, you're already whole. Jung had a male patient, 44 years old, who'd come to therapy after a panic attack. His whole life, he'd tried to look strong. He never cried. He never showed fear. He controlled everything. But one day, something broke. A panic attack came, and for the first time, he felt completely out of control. He was terrified. Jung told him, maybe your body is trying to tell you something. Maybe it's saying you don't need to look this strong anymore. The man didn't understand. I can't be weak, he said. Jung answered, showing weakness isn't the same as being weak. Showing vulnerability takes courage because you're revealing your real self. The man slowly understood, and he started letting go. He dropped the mask of strength. He let go of his obsession with controlling everything and just started being human. Surprisingly, this letting go made him stronger, because now he had real strength, the strength of acceptance, the strength of letting go, the strength of being himself. Jung would say, real strength doesn't come from controlling everything. Real strength comes from accepting what you can't control. The shadow side. But there's another dimension to Jung's paradox of letting go, and it involves the shadow. Jung discovered that anxiety usually comes from the shadow, the parts of yourself you've rejected, denied, and hidden away. For example, maybe when you were a kid, you were told to be strong, don't cry, don't be scared. So, over time, you buried your weakness, your fear, your fragility into the shadow. But that shadow didn't disappear. It just went into your subconscious. And from there it controls you through anxiety. You're anxious because you're afraid of looking weak. You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of being rejected. And these fears constantly push you to control everything. Jung had a female patient, 45 years old, who was a perfectionist. Everything had to be perfect: her house, her job, her appearance, her relationships. But this pursuit of perfection was destroying her because nothing was ever good enough. Jung asked her, "Why do you have to be perfect?" She answered, "Because if I'm not perfect, I'm worthless." Jung pressed, "Where did you get that belief?" She thought back to her memories. As a child, her mother was very strict. Every mistake was punished. Every failure was met with disappointment. And over time, she learned, be perfect or you won't be loved. Jung told her, that child is still inside you, still looking for that love. But you won't find it through perfection, you'll find it through acceptance. How do I accept myself? The woman asked. Jung answered, accept your weakness, accept your mistakes, accept your flaws, because they're part of your humanity, and when you accept them, you'll stop trying to be perfect. You'll just be yourself. This is what Jung called shadow integration. When you accept your shadow, your fear of it decreases. And when your fear decreases, your need for control decreases. Jung would say, when you make peace with your shadow, you find inner peace, because you're no longer running from yourself. The exercise. Meet your fear. Here's an exercise Jung gave his patients. Before bed tonight, ask yourself, why did I worry today? And what fear is underneath that worry? For example, maybe you're anxious about losing your job. What's the fear underneath? Maybe it's fear that you're not good enough. Maybe it's fear that you can't survive. Maybe it's fear of becoming worthless. Now, talk to that fear. Tell it, I see you, I understand you, but you're not in charge of me, because I am so much bigger than you. Jung would say, when you name your fear, you diminish its power because it becomes known rather than unknown. And here's another paradox. When you face your fear, it shrinks. But when you run from it, it grows. Jung had a male patient, 40 years old, who'd experienced social anxiety for years. He was afraid to talk to people. He was afraid of being judged. He was afraid of rejection, so he avoided social situations. But the more he avoided, the bigger his fear grew. Soon, he wasn't just afraid of big groups, he was afraid of small groups. And even of talking to one person. Jung told him, the more you run, the stronger your fear becomes. Because running gives your fear permission. It's like saying the danger is real. So what should I do? The man asked. Jung answered, face it, but slowly. Take one step, then wait, then take another step. The man tried it. First, he went alone to a small cafe. He sat down and had coffee. His heart was pounding, but he waited. Then a week later, he met a friend. Then he went to a small social event. And each time, something shifted. His fear came, but then it passed. And each time it passed, it was a little weaker. 6 months later, the man came back to Jung. He said, I'm not afraid anymore. Well, sometimes I still feel nervous, but I don't run anymore. Because I know fear is temporary, but if I run, it becomes permanent. Jung smiled. See, he said, you've discovered another aspect of letting go. You learn to dance with fear instead of resisting it. The dance between resistance and acceptance. And this brings us to Jung's deepest teaching, the difference between resistance and acceptance. Jung would say, what you resist becomes permanent. What you accept transforms. What does this mean? Think about it this way. A feeling comes, maybe sadness, and you resist it. You say, no, I can't be sad. I need to be strong. So you push the sadness down, but it doesn't disappear. It stays inside, goes deeper, and one day it explodes. Or it comes out in a different way. Or you choose a different path. The sadness comes, and you say, okay, I'm sad. I'm going to feel this sadness. And you let yourself feel it. Maybe you cry. Maybe you hurt. But then the feeling passes because you didn't resist it. So it didn't get stuck. Jung would say, emotions are like guests. They come and they go. But if you resist them, they never leave, they stay in your house. Jung had a female patient, 37 years old, who'd been suppressing her anger for years. She never got angry. She never yelled. She was always calm. But inside her was a volcano. Jung asked her, do you ever express your anger? No, she said, because anger is bad. Jung continued, who told you that? She thought back. Her mother used to say, angry women are ugly. And that's where it came from. As a little girl, when she showed anger, she was punished. Over time, she buried her anger in her shadow. Jung told her, anger is energy. It's neither good nor bad. It's just energy. And when you suppress it, that energy rots inside you. But when you allow it, that energy transforms. What should I do? She asked. Jung answered, feel your anger, but in a controlled way. Hit a pillow, yell, write, do whatever you need to do, but don't suppress it, because suppressed anger eventually becomes poison. The woman tried it, and at first it felt strange, but over time, she relaxed because she wasn't carrying her anger anymore. She felt it and released it. Jung would say, letting go isn't just about releasing control, it's also about releasing emotions. Feel them, experience them, then let them go. Synchronicity. When the universe speaks, now let's return to Jung's concept of synchronicity, because this is the most mysterious aspect of the paradox of letting go. Jung discovered that life isn't full of random coincidences. Instead, it's full of meaningful connections. But to see these connections, you have to get out of control mode. Because when you're in control mode, you only see your plan. But when you let go, you see all the paths. Jung had a personal example. A patient was telling him about a dream. In the dream, there was a golden scarab beetle. At that exact moment, a golden scarab beetle hit Jung's window. This was 1 in a million odds. Jung called this synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence. He said, the universe is speaking, but you have to listen. And how do you listen? By letting go, by releasing control and staying open. Jung would say, when you force your way, you only see your path. But when you let go, you see all the paths, and the universe shows you the right one. The deepest truth. Anxiety as a calend. Now I'll tell you the final thing, and this might be the most important. Jung discovered that anxiety is actually a call. It's your subconscious trying to tell you something, and if you listen, you'll grow. What is anxiety telling you? Usually this, you're not living your authentic life. You're living according to other people's expectations, and your soul wants freedom. Jung had a male patient, 50 years old, a successful doctor, but he was unhappy and constantly anxious. Will I lose my job? Will I lose my money? Will I lose my reputation? Jung asked him, was being a doctor your choice? The man paused. No, he said. My father wanted it. He was a doctor too, and I didn't want to disappoint him. Jung continued. What did you want to be? The man's eyes filled with tears. I wanted to be a painter. And that was the truth. The man had lived 40 years in the wrong life, and his subconscious had been trying to tell him through anxiety. Jung told him, your anxiety is your soul's cry. It's looking for your authentic path, and it won't rest until you listen. The man gathered his courage. At 50 years old, he started painting. He didn't quit his job, but he added art to his life. And strangely, his anxiety decreased because now he was listening to his soul. Jung would say, as long as you betray yourself, you can't find peace. But when you walk your authentic path, anxiety disappears. The final question, and now I'm going to ask you the ultimate question. What are you going to do? Will you keep worrying, keep trying to control, or will you apply Jung's paradox and let go? Because remember, life slips through your fingers when you hold on tight, but it comes to you when you let go. If this video moved you, write in the comments, I'm letting go now, because these words might be the beginning of your freedom. Don't forget to subscribe because your journey of transformation with Jung's psychology is just beginning. See you in the next video.